The surgery begins by injection of phenocaine plus into the anterior chamber. This basically provides just adequate dilatation without the need for pre-op mydriatic drugs, and it also provides a very good analgesia. Now we inject a viscoelastic substance into the anterior chamber to make the anterior chamber deep and make the eye a little tense. This is a biplanar clear corneal 2.8 keratometry into the anterior chamber. This forms the main tunnel, and this is followed by injection of high viscosity OVD into the anterior chamber. I like to keep the corneal surface coated with a viscoelastic so that it does not get dry during the entire rhexis procedure, and there is no need for installation of topical lubricating fluid over the cornea, which may often hamper the visibility during the rhexis. An important tip to keep in mind while doing the continuous curvilinear capsular rhexis is to keep the flap flat at all times of the rhexis and try to keep the anterior chamber as stable as possible. For this, you can stabilize your the needle with the other hand, so that at no point of time the tunnel, which is the valvular opening, should open and allow the viscoelastic to leak, which can cause sudden shallowing of the anterior chamber and giving away of the rhexis. So at all times of the entire rhexis procedure, see that your anterior chamber is stable and well formed. Now do a multi-quadrant hydrodissection. The end point of hydrodissection is when you see a good fluid wave, as you could just see, passing underneath the nucleus and a little bit shallowing of the anterior chamber. And a good end point of the hydrodelineation is seeing of the golden ring. Ensure free rotation of the nucleus, which is an endpoint of good hydrodissection, but this may not always be necessary. Make your side port entry. This should ideally be about say 60 to 70 degrees to your main tunnel. It could be made with a side port blade or with an MVR knife. You begin your phaco procedure. Always enter with your irrigation on. See that the two ports of the silicone sleeve are at in a horizontal plane. Otherwise, the jets may damage the endothelium and may also inadvertently hit the posterior capsule, and try to remain in the center of the pupil almost as much as possible. This is a direct chop technique. Here what I do is just embed into the nucleus, into the thick substance, and manually chop with the other hand. Here the phaco energy that is required is just minimal and just that much as to embed the phaco tip into the nucleus. The rest of the process is done manually with the chopper, as you can see. And each piece that is broken can be subsequently emulsified, or you can break the entire nucleus into pieces first and then emulsify all of them subsequently. Never go running after the pieces with your phaco probe. This may lead to damage to the endothelium, or you may just catch hold of the rhexis at any point of time, or you can even catch hold of the posterior capsule. So just ensure that a good followability is there, and use your chopper manually with the other hand, the non-dominant hand, to manipulate the pieces. Once all the entire nucleus is emulsified, you can inject visco not only to form the anterior chamber, but you can also try some amount of visco dissection and visco aspiration. And this is followed by the bimanual irrigation aspiration. You can start the aspiration by using the aspiration cannula in your dominant hand, and once the majority of the cortex, epinucleus, the lens fibers, everything is aspirated, then you can swap your hands and take the aspiration cannula in your non-dominant hand. Whenever you are aspirating, try to just gradually release the cortical matter from the capsule and from the fornices. Do not pull on them radially towards the center of the pupil, because if there are attachments at any point of time, it may just bring away the capsule along with it, or it can even put stress on the zonules. So just gradually try to dislodge the entire cortical matter and then aspirate. So now, as you can see, it's just the subincisional cortex that is remaining, and for this I have swapped the hands so that I can approach that matter more easily with the aspiration from the opposite end. You can see while injecting the OVD, the folds on the posterior capsule are seen. I distend the capsular bag, reform the anterior chamber to proceed with the IOL implantation. This is a single-handed in the bag IOL implantation of a hydrophobic foldable acrylic IOL. You can see the entire IOL is going well under the rhexis directly into the bag. I do not use a dialer to rotate the IOL. I just inject a little bit of visco, and with the visco cannula itself I try to position it and see that all the haptics are well placed, free, and the optic is well centered. And the surgery then culminates with the removal of the OVD. Again, here I keep the aspiration cannula placed centrally or at just one place, and all I move is the irrigation cannula, irrigating all the fornices in the angles and the fornices in the capsular bag, in the sulcus, and I irrigate behind the IOL also. The aspiration cannula is just held stationary. So all the OVD just comes floating towards the aspiration cannula, and I can safely remove all the OVD. The surgery finally ends with wound hydration. This is hydration of the side port, and then the hydration of the main tunnel. You have to be careful that you hydrate well the roof and the walls to provide a good self-sealing effect.